Queensland Chamber of Commerce and Industry, which runs the ecoBiz program. Hello, Gabe.
Hi, how are you?
This sounds too good to be true, Gabe.
Yep.
A group of business people saying, hey, we'll save you money, we'll put money in your pocket, it's free, it's good for the environment. Is there a catch?
No catch.
All right.
Thankfully this time, and it does take some businesses quite a bit of convincing to realise that, and that's because it is a government-funded program, so we as a non-for-profit manage that as well. So there's really dual outcomes here. For the government, they're looking at those environmental outcomes, and for the Chamber of Commerce and Industry Queensland, it's really about how we can make businesses as good as they can get and as competitive as they can be. And this is through the lens of sustainable business management, but really targeted at those heavy operating costs for businesses around Queensland.
All right. Just explain how it works, the ecoBiz program.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as I said, CCIQ manage it, and it's free for all SMEs around Queensland. Don't have to be industry or region specific. They sign up. We'll just ask for a bit of information about them. We do that to create a bit of a baseline of understanding about the business around those resources that you just mentioned, energy, water, waste. What is going on our site? What's the productivity? What we'll do from there is we'll send a consultant out for a 2-hour on-site session. That's free. The sustainability consultant walks around, really gets a good understanding of the challenges, gaps and opportunities in that individual business. The outcome of that is they'll create a tailored report, basically that outlines the no, low and eventual higher cost recommendations that actual business can be undertaking right now. And it's really nitty-gritty. I call it the pointy end of sustainability, because it really has to blend in with any business, whether you're an accountancy, a school, a butcher. It really doesn't matter. It's the same principles being applied over and over again. And what we find is it's really a lot of actually probably common sense stuff that just has to be crystallised in the format of, well, why should I really care as a business operator? I've got a business to run. I've got a bottom line to look at. And so we really try and frame all of our recommendations around that. They'll then go through the program, implementing what they can out of those recommendations. They can pick and choose what they want to look at. And we, the project team, will help support them through that process, looking for, demonstrable, real hard outcomes from that, looking at their efficiency changes and those bill cost decreases.
ecoBiz. It's run by the Chamber of Commerce and Industry Queensland. Gabe O'Keefe in studio this morning saying to small and medium-sized enterprises, if you want to save money on your power, water bill or waste bill, you can do this program for free. You've got runs on the board already, is that right? 1,000 businesses have done this and have saved money?
Yeah, well over 1,000 businesses have gone through the program. In fact, we've got about 1,100 businesses across Queensland right now going through the program there. It's different stages throughout that. And absolutely, they've made savings. So about on average, across those three areas you're talking about, energy, water and waste bills, it's around about 15-16% off your bill throughout the course of a 12-month period that we're working with you to try to reduce those as well. So it's quite significant. And again, most of what we're looking at here is with businesses who aren't flush with a huge amount of money just sitting in the bank waiting to spend on big projects. It's no and the low cost things. It's behaviour change. It's really simple improvements to what you've already got.
Yeah. 16% is significant. So has it been about the same across those three areas?
It's a bit of a change up. Waste is a little bit higher than energy and water, but that's probably...
The savings higher?
The savings, yes,
right.
Yes. And the reason we see that is because waste traditionally wasn't such a big issue as energy and water prices, but with the introduction of reintroduction, I should say, of things such as the Queensland Waste Levy, we've seen a new impetus and a new interest in reducing waste from businesses, and there's really big savings to be made there because most businesses traditionally just haven't really thought about it.
Yeah, okay. So how high has the percentage of saving climbed in terms of waste then? You have a figure on that?
Yeah, for cost, it's about 22% off your bills.
Wow.
And in terms of actually trying to reduce the waste going to landfill, which is usually the more expensive of waste, so looking at trying to improve recycling and reducing waste in the first place, it's closer to 30% of the actual amount of waste heading to landfill is a reduction that we'd find for businesses who go through and engage in the program and the recommendations and resources that we provide.
Okay, so that's stuff people do on site with their waste and not sending it away. What sort of changes in terms of energy?
Yeah, absolutely. So, again, we'll look at a couple of different levels here to provide a really nice broad spectrum of options for businesses to choose from, which will depend on where they're at in their journey. So we look at behaviour change always. There's things that have been talked about since I was a child. So, heading on 30 years ago now, about, switching off the lights, putting timers on computers. That seems very common sense. But until there's really an engagement point, what's the outcome? What's in it for me? What are the financial benefits? People won't go through. You can go through looking at, for bigger places, power factor correction. So that's really basically just looking at, are you getting energy off the grid as effectively and as efficiently as you should be? For a lot of older buildings, that's a really big consideration. And moving through to the big ticket items, of course, like solar, it's such an easy business case to make now, but that's something that the consultant, when they're out for that free session, will help work through with the business. Is essentially, well, I know solar is probably pretty good, but for me, what's the business case? What's the individual opportunity here? Yeah,
well, there's lots changing in that area when it comes to the grid, power supply, solar, as you say. What about water bills? How do you save 16% on your water bill?
Yeah, absolutely. And for a lot of businesses that are in more urban environments, it can seem a little bit tougher and less flexible than energy, especially on your options being a regulated market as opposed to an unregulated market in the energy space. But we really look at the improvements in your on-site, especially so if you look at manufacturing, for example, there's a lot of water used in processing of things like fabricated steels and metals, timbers, and food and beverage. So our consultants will go out and look at, well, essentially, have you got areas that aren't operating at that top standard? So it's about improving the efficiency of machinery in professional buildings and office spaces, that sort of thing. Again, we fall back to behaviour management. And, of course, you can go to the big end of town and look at water storage or water reclamation, so on-site water recycling. And we've seen that in a few instances, and it's pretty impressive.
Gabe O'Keefe, who runs the ecoBiz program at the Chamber of Commerce and Industry Queensland. It's free, they say, no catch, a program that gets someone out to do a 2-hour session with you. They say based on the 1,100 businesses who've gone through it so far, they are saving significantly on waste, power and water bills. This is for SMEs, so that's small to medium enterprises, right, Gabe? What's the definition of that?
Yeah, there's a few different definitions, and we take quite a broad and flexible approach to that. So SMEs are generally, we can probably look at them in terms of the amount of people that they employ, and that can be anywhere from, the upper bounds of 200, maybe even 500. But for us, the most important thing is that are we able to provide value with the resources that we're given by the government, by the Department of Environment and Science, and so we look at that before we really look at the actual size of the business. So we've had a few we've had micro businesses. The classic example of that is when you go out to a florist or something like that, and they've got really large energy and water consumption, but maybe only 1 or 2 employees. Or at the other end of that, we've worked with really large organisations like Australia's Zoo, who you'd think would be right on top of this stuff, but they've grown so quickly that they haven't had a chance to stop and look back at, are we doing the best we can in terms of efficiency and sustainability.
Okay, tiny florist to Australia Zoo. How do people find out about it? Is there a cut-off date to get in touch?
No, absolutely not. We're a rolling program, so they can get in touch with CCIQ at any time. Go to our website, call up, and they'll be put straight through to the ecoBiz team.
You know what? There's going to be a bunch of people listening who are just residents going, sounds pretty good to me. But I guess maybe those sort of programs exist through council and that kind of thing, because this is only for business, right? But I mean, you are the CCIQ.
So this is for organisations.
Yes.
Certainly not just for companies. We do not-for-profits, we do charities, we do educational institutions. So we've done a ton of schools as well.
Okay. Well, that's really good to know.
Absolutely, yeah. So we put everyone under a very broad church of organisation there.
Yeah.